Alright, ever since the Retrobit Super Retrocade came out, there has been a lot of videos on YouTube. Everybody has done their review, their unboxing, and even tried to get certain controllers working on the system. Now, myself, personally, I've done an unboxing video. I've done a video on adding ROMs and images to the Super Retrocade via an SD card, and also I tested quite a few USB controllers on the device itself. Now, unfortunately, in that video, if you did not see that video, do click the link down below. But if you did see that video, you would have noticed that I did not get an arcade stick working on the system. And what a bummer that was. It was very upsetting. Now, I did test the 8-bit Do N30 arcade stick on it and had no success. Now, Madlittlepixels had got an arcade stick working on that he did buy from China, but he also built one himself. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, are not looking to build an arcade stick themselves. I personally am, but I have not gotten to that yet. But people just want an arcade stick that functions right out the box with the Super Retrocade. Now, unfortunately, even though it is a plug-and-play arcade machine, and that's what its intent was, Retrobit did not package an arcade stick with it. Now, I know it would have been a little more expensive. I personally would have been willing to pay more to get an arcade stick with the system. I would have also liked to have seen Retrobit build their own arcade stick that worked for the Super Retrocade, but unfortunately, they did not. I am a member of Madlittlepixels Facebook page and a member Sleepy Javis, which I've talked about before because he asked me why I chose the name Deem, and I did a video of that explaining why I chose Deem. We have become really good friends in the last couple of weeks. He sent me the file for the arcade pack that the Madlittlepixel community have been working on. There are upwards of 600 and something arcade games in this pack. He also mentioned an arcade stick he found to work straight out the box. I had to check it out, and here it goes. It is the Mayflash arcade stick. Now, I had seen this arcade stick while I was purchasing all those controllers to test on the Super Retrocade, but I ran out of money. The thing was about $40, $50 when I looked at it, and then it went down to $30 when I clicked the link that Sleepy Javis sent me and bought it right away. Now, this was the last one from that seller, so let's find out exactly how the Mayflash arcade stick functions on the Super Retrocade. Guys, welcome back to another episode of my tiny point of view on the Deem channel, and we're taking a look at the Mayflash arcade stick. Now, originally this was going to be a Wii test video, but unfortunately I could not wait. I did not want to test this live. I had to get it out and test it for a couple days and play it, and I used the arcade pack that I got off of Madlittlepixels from Sleepy Javis. Now, let's first take a look at the build quality on the Mayflash arcade stick. This thing is pretty much made of aluminum all around. It feels really heavy. Now, the arcade stick itself, for me, feels a little wobbly, maybe a little flimsy. The buttons are really solid. They all have a tactile sound to it, which I personally love. They are numbered instead of cross, triangle, circle, and square, seeing where this thing was mainly marketed for the PS2. On the end, it has a dual link cable, the PS2, and a USB. There are 10 buttons, 9 and 10 being the start and select. Now, the arcade stick itself, as you can hear, great tactile sound. Now, during gameplay, this arcade stick worked the best on beat-em-ups. Now, I got myself stuck playing Alien vs. Predator, and I got really addicted to that. Now, I'd never played that before, but this arcade stick functioned really well on, as I said, beat-em-ups. Alien vs. Predator, Bad Dudes, Double Dragon. Now, it also functioned fairly well on your shoot 'em ups and your old arcade games such as Dig Dug and my personal favorite, Burger Time. It seemed really responsive, the arcade stick and the buttons. Now, where the issues that I found were, one being the fact that this thing does not allow you to press the select and start to bring up the menu. You have to actually have a second controller hooked to port 2, which means that if you want to get 2 arcade sticks for 2 players, at some point if you want to bring up the menu, you're going to have to pull the second arcade stick out, put a controller, and hit the select and start. But after that, you can use this to move up and down the menu and the A button to select or go back to the main menu. Now, the other issue I found is compared to the controller where you have A and B, on this, A and B is switched. So 3 over here is your A and this is B. It does take some time getting used to all the buttons and the button layouts, especially for your fighting games. That does get a little confusing. But I assume that if you want to change the layout, you can open up this arcade stick and change the layout of the buttons to your liking. Now, another issue that I've seen is it seems a little iffy on your 8-axis. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm sure all you guys know what I'm talking about when it comes to an arcade stick, which you don't only move up, down, left, and right, which it works perfectly fine with that. You also move in your diagonals, which are the 8-axis. Now, on some games like Sunset Riders and Mercs, don't get me wrong, it works and it is playable. But sometimes, to me, and maybe I'm just making this up, but it seems like it does hesitate in some of those diagonal directions. That's just me, but it does work and the games are playable. Now, as I said, I went through a whole bunch of games in that arcade pack, and some of your basic arcade games worked really well. The arcade stick functioned really well, and it functioned pretty good on your fighting games, but like I said, you got to get used to the button layout. For the most part, this arcade stick works right out the box with the Super Retrocade. So if you have been looking for an arcade stick, the Mayflash arcade stick is definitely a contender. And you don't want to build your own arcade stick, here goes one right here for fairly cheap that works with the Super Retrocade. If you have any questions on the Mayflash arcade stick, please leave them in the comments down below. If you've used this arcade stick, please express your opinions as well. Let me know any of the other issues you may have seen with this arcade stick, and if you found another arcade stick, as always, please don't hold out. Do consider joining the Madlittlepixels Facebook page, which I'll leave a link in the description down below. They did a really good job on that arcade pack. If you found this video to be of some sort of value, please consider sharing amongst your friends. And if you liked what you've seen in the video, hit that thumbs up. And as always, if you're interested to see more from the Deem channel, please hit the subscribe button.